You're listening to the Viral Volley Podcast. Now here's your host, Rob, on the mic.
Hey everyone, I'm Rob Sparrow with the Viral Volley Podcast, and with me today I've got University of Wisconsin Badger, Deahna Kraft, but I don't primarily know her first as a Badger. To me, she was a Pepperdine Wave because I met her years ago, ironically at the USA Volleyball Collegiate Beach Championships in Hermosa Beach, because it's always her and Brooke in the finals. So, hey, Deahna, thanks for joining me today on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's such an exciting time, especially with the NCAA women's volleyball tournament happening. I thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about your story, where you came from, what you've been through, and where you're currently at. Just because, like I said, you're right there in Omaha, Nebraska, getting ready for some big time play after a great undefeated season.
Mm-hmm.
So let me start off with you with the first question for you. Now, you're an extremely talented sixth rotation opposite and middle hitter. I did not know that, by the way, but I researched that in high school. I'm like, oppo, I can do. I don't know about middle, but apparently you're pretty talented. And then you decided to play collegiate beach at Pepperdine instead. What led you to make that decision?
I actually went to a Pepperdine Beach volleyball camp for fun because I was going to go compete in Seaside, Oregon, the really big beach tournament, again, all for fun. And my mom was like, let's have like a girls trip, and then you can go to their like recruiting camp or whatever. And everyone told me, like, as I went through my high school career, they're like, you'd be a great beach volleyball player, because I was kind of getting like shut down a little bit by indoor coaches. They're like, I developed really late, and they're like, you're not tall enough, you're not like physical enough. And they're like, but everyone I knew was like, you have great IQ, like try beach. So I was like, maybe I'll go try beach. So went to the Pepperdine camp, and then fast forward, the third day I sucked for the first 2 days. And then the third day I ended up on like the top court with the girls that were actually going there. And then like 4 months later, like they kind of sent me a letter, all the recruitment stuff. And then I ended up just kind of going. I was talking to Wisconsin too at the time. And then I remember I was like, okay, I'm just going to go do it. I took a leap of faith, and just something told me to go to Pepperdine. And I ended up at Pepperdine and learning beach volleyball my first year. It was crazy.
So I've got to follow up with who were those girls that you ended up on the top court on? Because we know that that's a very high caliber program, which means there are some pretty big names on that court with you.
Yeah, it was Maddie Rowe, Annika Wilson, that whole Skylar Caputo, I think, was there. It was a while ago. I was really young, but I ended up with those girls on that court because they were all going the year after, I think, or like 2 years. It was like a recruiting camp, and I ended up on the court with them, and then it was crazy to then start playing with them after.
You get to hang with the big dogs right off the gate, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So I literally saw you play beach volleyball for the last time we were talking earlier on March 11th of 2020 at Merle Norman Stadium at USC at a tri-duel with USC and UCLA.
Yeah.
We started to see the ramifications of what this thing was called a coronavirus coming through, even while you were all competing, because you're seeing tweets from ESPN saying that, games are canceled at halftime, and something serious is happening. We didn't know. There were no spectators during that tri-duel. But what do you remember most about that day competing? Because that was a pretty highly competitive duel. You had the top 4 in the country going at it right there.
I mean, I just remember it was a great day. It was a fun day. Close games all around, and it just going out. I know whenever we play UCLA and USC, it's going to be a good game, highly competitive. And I remember just having a lot of fun. And then I also remember kind of in the back of my mind, there's all this like coronavirus stuff circulating, and what's going to happen, is things going to shut down. So I kind of remember that was like the first glimpse I got of like playing with like the coronavirus kind of circling around. And now fast forward here, now I'm playing like in the middle of a pandemic and having a COVID season. So I just kind of remember not really knowing what's up. A lot of people were like, oh, it's nothing. And like some people were like, no, it's going to be a big deal. And then like, I remember my parents were watching from the parking garage up above because there's no fans there. And my grandma was there as well. And then I just remember that then after that, the next 2 days, everything was shut down. And like, that was my last time playing in my undergrad collegiate career. So, I mean, it was just crazy to think that that was my last game, and it all got taken away really quickly and everything moved really fast.
Well, I remember being courtside because I was there with Volleyball Mag covering all the play that day, but I got a lot of great highlights of you and Brooke Bowers. So, I mean, it was a bummer of what was happening, but at least got to see the last of you on the sand with Brooke, because I've always come to speak to both of you whenever at the USA Collegiate Championships and also whenever I'd see at duels. And it just, you guys are great athletes and great charisma and energy on the court. So, and you play at such a high level with a lot of power, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, playing with Brooke was so much fun, and being able to represent Pepperdine at any line is just such a gift. And so, I mean, I look back at my time there with like so much gratitude and stuff, and it was just crazy because you never know when it's your last game, I guess. And
Yeah.
I didn't get my senior night, I didn't get to go to Gulf Shores. I never got a lot of lasts that I thought I would had. And so, I mean, looking back, it's been such a blur and a whirlwind and crazy adventures ever since March 11th.
Yeah, quite the year indeed.
Yes.
Another follow-up question to that, though, with the cancellation of the 2020 season and the NCAA Collegiate Beach Championships, the NCAA granted an additional year of eligibility. Now, what were your thoughts of the events that ended the 2020 season? And, with that additional year of eligibility, what was going through your mind?
Well, at that point, I had already committed to coming to Wisconsin because I wanted to play a 5th year indoor. And it was something that I talked about for a while. And I came on like a visit here in November, and my really good friend, Brittany Howard, she actually used to play at Pepperdine. And she played on the AVP for a little while as well. You probably know who she is. And she was always like, Deahna, like, you've been talking about Wisconsin forever. Like, you've always been like, well, I wonder what would have happened if I went there. Like, you just got to go do it and go do your 5th year there. And so I already, by that time, was committed to going here. And to me, like, if I make a commitment, I follow through 100%. So it was never like should I stay at Pepperdine another year? It was like, okay, I'm going to Wisconsin, I'm moving on, and this is my next journey. And I mean, I think when everything got canceled and everything stopped so abruptly, that was really hard for me to wrap my mind around at first, because like I had a lot of mixed emotions and I was pretty devastated losing that senior season. I mean, you work 4 years for that senior season. And I was like in the lines 1, and like everything was just kind of, rolling and really great. And I was with like Brooke and I were doing really well. And I loved the team, and like I love the girls on the team. So, I mean, for me, it wasn't a matter of, am I going to stay back at Pepperdine? And I mean, Marcio knew that, and he knew I was ready to move on. It was just more sad, like that everything got shut down so quickly, and coming to terms with that, and just like being sad with all the senior classes that lost that.
Yeah. Well, let's move forward now. I found this quote in an article, and I'm going to shoot myself in the foot because I didn't get the article it came from, but it was a quote about you. I'm going to read it to you.
Okay.
It said, Kraft became an anomaly in the college volleyball world that last November, when she became one of the first collegiate beach volleyball players to complete a graduate transfer to finish her career on the indoor court. It's not uncommon for the switch to be made. After all, the two sports are fundamentally very similar, but often it's made by indoor players switching to the beach, seeking the warm weather and slower game pace. Kraft wasn't daunted by the small number of women making her move. However, she was motivated by them. Obviously, going back to the indoor game, can you talk about your experience in transitioning back to how you first got introduced to volleyball?
Yeah. I mean, I was nervous. Don't get me wrong. Like, I always was like, oh, I'm a crazy lady. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm not just transferring over. I'm literally going to like one of the top teams. But like, I know this is gonna sound so cliche, but like, I really like doing things that scare me and like that make me stretch. And I think if things don't scare you and like exhilarate you, like why do it? And you're passionate about it. And that's just something I was really passionate about. And I went, and I knew deep down I could do it, because when I went to beach volleyball, I also was learning a new sport my freshman year. And like, that was a new sport as well. I was like, okay, I did that. I was successful in it. I know what it means to kind of be an underdog and have to soak in everything and learn everything. And I love those environments. I thrive in those environments. And so I just coming over, I was like, okay, I have to like not measure my success with like playing time and like award, like a lot of people measure their success in certain ways. It's like, I have to just like get down and work and like be successful just hanging and being with the girls and like thriving in that environment. And so it was a tough transition, and it was a lot of work went through it and a lot of time. And I'm just like so thankful for my teammates and my coaches to like sit and just get reps with me and work on with me and like put trust and faith in me. And like the coaching staff here is amazing and the team is amazing. And I mean, I've been able to find my success here and grow into a better player purely because of all the resources and like amazing people around me.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Lauren Carlini a few months ago, and she spoke very highly of Kelly Sheffield. And then I also met Deahna Kraft 2 years ago when the U.S. qualified for the Olympics in Louisiana. And she had mentioned that Kelly Sheffield's an incredible coach. So his name definitely goes around in circles. I see he's a big name. That's the shaker, the mover and shaker in collegiate beach and collegiate indoor volleyball.
Not beach. Yeah. Well, I was actually going to get Kelly out on the sand too. That next weekend after March, he was supposed to come watch my Georgia State game at Zuma. So we would have had Kelly on the beach. It would have been a sight to see.
Start a beach program at Wisconsin.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, so did you know going in what position what kind of role you'd have going into Wisconsin? I mean, you obviously had read that you were a middle hitter opposite, but with Wisconsin being so loaded and I mean, Deahna is what, 6'5", 6'6", and
6'8".
I'm not quite sure you'd match up very well with her in practice. So, but what role were you going to come in as?
I mean, they had me as like pin hitter and a DS. So I was kind of coming in as like a ball control hitter. And honestly, like I had no clue what my role was going to be. I had no clue if, I mean, I didn't know if I could hang at that level, like I'm walking into a good team. So I just was kind of coming in. I'm like, I'm going to fulfill whatever role they need me in, if I'm going to be whatever they need and be a good teammate, and like whatever I need to do will figure itself out. And like, I'm a firm believer in like things will work itself out if you put in that hard work. And then I just kind of found my role in the team and figured it out, And I mean,
aspiring athletes need to take note of what you just said. So any of you aspiring athletes, pay attention to what Deahna just said about these last like 15 seconds, because that's key in being a successful athlete. So,
and I mean, I think it's so huge too. Like, I mean, even now, like, it's funny because like, I don't have those 4 years of like undergrad indoor experience to like help me with that confidence. What I have to help me with my confidence is the work I've put in and like all the hours I've had, like all my teammates coming in the gym with me and getting extra reps with me and the coaches spending extra time. It's like, that's what I can rely on. And that's the confidence I can rely on, is like the hard work that goes into it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like your mind definitely wanders and you go through ups and downs and like plateaus and everything in between, but like you just got to keep your head up and keep focusing on what you can control. And obviously that's easier said than done, and it's definitely been an experience for me. But like this year has been probably one of the biggest like learning curves of my life, and I definitely think I've learned the most and grown the most as an all-around human this past year. And like I just like I'm very fortunate for the growth I've had and like this experience I've had right now.
Well, it seems the coaching staff and Coach Sheffield have the utmost confidence in your ability. I mean, you're coming into a top 10, if not a top 8 program and making an impact. So, and it just speaks to your athletic ability and your ability to learn too. So now, as you began competing this season with the Badgers, when did you realize that this Wisconsin team was going to be a national championship contender?
I mean, I think that's it's an interesting question because, I mean, I knew they were going to be good. They were just at the finals the year before, and I saw the senior class, what was going to be the senior class, and I wanted to play with those girls. I mean, I was like, these girls seem legit. Like, I want to play with the best players in the nation, and I just feel like if you surround yourself with excellence, like you're gonna rise eventually to that level. Like, you're just being surrounded by great people makes you an even better person. And so I knew they were going to be good. I don't think I ever knew that we're going to be like a top 10 or top 8. You know, you just stay so focused and you keep your blinders on. But I mean, I think we can do something really special. And I think there's great teams here, and we just have to keep our blinders on, focus one game at a time, you know. And I think, and I wish for the best, and we'll see what happens. But I mean, I knew the team was going to be good. I mean, they're all ballers, and they have a great staff and a great culture. So like, for the next years to come, they're going to be a great program in general.
Yeah.
So I just knew, like, when I was in high school, I wanted to go to Wisconsin, and I knew then in college I wanted to go to Wisconsin because I mean, they just have a legacy of greatness. So I was like, let's go.
Now, do you have family ties to Wisconsin? I know I read it, but I want to hear you say it.
Yes, I do. So my mom grew up in Door County, and like all my cousins went to University of Madison. So maybe University of Wisconsin in Madison. So I have a lot of ties. I would come to Wisconsin every summer when I was a little kid and visit my grandparents. So I actually do have a lot of ties in here in Wisconsin. So it's actually been nice to like actually live here, because I would spend weeks here in the summer, but like my grandparents live on a farm. So I live on a farm in the middle of kind of nowhere. So I had an idea of what Wisconsin was, but I didn't have like the city life of Wisconsin, and like I'd never experienced the winter, and now I got through my first Midwest winter. So I mean, you can call me a Midwest girl by now.
Yeah, but your body got used to the SoCal summers and the tans. So
Yeah, this year I've definitely, like, I've never been, I miss my tan, I miss the beach, but you know, I also find beauty in the coldness and the snow. So I'm building character.
building character.
Yeah.
Your blood's thickening. That's what's happening.
It is. It was, I remember we went to Indiana, and it was like 23, 30 degrees. And I was like, it's so warm out. Oh my gosh. Because that was when there was the negative 10-degree like cold front coming in Wisconsin. And I was like sweating in 25-degree weather. And I was like, if I was like my like 19-year-old self looking at my 22-year-old self, I would be like, no way. She would not be like sweating in 23-degree weather.
All right. So, you know, as the season went on, you finished the season 15-0 and are the number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Would you ever imagine a scenario like this happening in the year that you decided to play indoor?
I mean, yeah, I mean, you hope, and you have dreams, and everything kind of starts working out as planned. And I think, I mean, we put in the work in the fall to put ourselves in this position. And I think it's great that we're number 1. But I mean, I know that number 1 in polls don't mean anything to us as a team. You know, like, we want to be the ones holding that national title, in that trophy. And coming in, I knew that was the culture too. So, I mean, it's great, and it's a dream come true right now, but come back to me if we win that national title, and then we can have that discussion.
I get that immediate interview right afterwards.
Yeah, fresh off the court.
Just call me as soon as that last ball drops.
But it has been amazing, and I'm so thankful for my time. It's been a dream come true, like everything. I'm so fortunate.
Oh gosh, it's such a great opportunity. But I mean, also being in these such unique times, I hate using the term, but I can't really find another, unprecedented times, especially with the pandemic in play for all sports. It's affecting our entire culture and society. But I wanted to ask you what your experience has been in Omaha so far, as you are bubbling is the term, getting ready to play it's not the first round, it's a second round matchup against the winner Bowling Green and Weber State. But what's it like being in, I guess, is it your village, your bubble? What's the term?
I don't know if there is a correct term, but I'll say bubble. I mean, we got in a couple hours ago. Tomorrow is like our quarantine day, I guess. We got tested earlier today, tested tomorrow as well. I don't have too much to add on that, because I'm freshly in Omaha, but I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be a tournament that's different than anything. So I mean, it's fun. I mean, this is history in the making. No one will forget this year. So I don't have anything crazy to report other than we're in a hotel, and we are all masked up and staying nice and healthy so we can get to playing our games.
Good, good. Now, are there any protocols besides quarantining, curfews or particular groups of pods of teammates you get to eat with, or?
No, it's pretty good because we're all being really safe, and leading up to this we've been extreme. I mean, we've pretty much been in a bubble for the past 9 months. Like,
Yeah,
the toll that this has had, like, our team has made a ton of sacrifices just to be here. It's hard to explain unless you go through what we've been going through, to
right.
explain the emotional toll of just like not being able to really see our parents and even each other without masks on.
Mhm.
So I mean, being in the bubble is actually really nice because we can see each other with no masks on. We're like, oh, that's how your face looks. Like, oh, I mean, so it's just been nice to be here. And I mean, I'm pretty much learning everything as we go. So I don't have a ton of new information,
Yeah.
a ton of like insight or of what's going on.
Well,
But
one thing that you'd mentioned was, so I imagine that at Wisconsin you were fanless during the season, so not even your parents or family could come to matches.
well, our parents could come. We It started with 2 people, and then 4 people from your family could come, but they were in the bleachers all spread apart. And I mean, we couldn't see our parents without masks on, six
Oh,
feet
okay.
away. So it was pretty strict protocol, but I mean, they could come and see our games, which was nice. And
Yeah, no post-match hugs, huh?
then, no.
Well, you guys go back into action this Thursday, the 16th. You take on the winners, I said, of Bowling Green, who's 22-1, and Weber State, who's 18-1. And if it's one thing has been indicative of the men's season, is there is potential for upset. You cannot take any match lightly because teams are coming out of the gate with the battle warrior mentality, because this could be it.
Yeah.
What's the atmosphere like for you and your team? Because, coming in as the number 1 seed, you mentioned earlier, focus is a key, but at tournament time, you got to almost dial it up. Is that the case for your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know we've prepared, and we're not going to take any team for granted, and we're going to go out there and compete and give our all. I think, yeah, if you notice anything in any national tournament, I mean, anything goes, and there's room for upsets along the way. So we're just going to go out there and take care of it game by game. And I mean, again, like, it's great we're number 1, but we're not acting like we've won anything at all yet, like, right now it's a clean slate, and when you get into the tournament, it's a clean slate. No one's won anything yet, so you just go. So we're just gonna put our head down and work and take it game by game.
Grind away, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a quick game. It's quick too. It's 5 games in like 9 days, so it's gonna be crazy. But I mean, we get to play, and
Right.
that's all we wanted to do all season. So
Now, with that kind of schedule, though, do you feel that your team is physically capable with so many games in such a short amount of time? Because with beach, you kind of get used to that. You're playing
yeah.
multiple duels in a day, but this is a different scenario on a hard surface, and also different conditioning. Do you feel your team's ready for the challenge?
Yeah, definitely. And I think something that makes our team so special is the depth we have. And I mean, if you've listened to interviews of all our players, and if you would ask any of our players, we'd all agree, like, the depth we have on this team is unreal. Everyone's amazing on this team. So if anyone needs time, to rest or anything, like, we can interchange lineups, and everyone's ready to go, and everyone's a stud. So I think, that's a huge benefit, especially in a tournament like this where it's not weeks, it's days. So yeah, we're ready to go.
Sounds good. Hey, this is Deahna Kraft of the University of Wisconsin and formerly Pepperdine University. We'll be back in just a moment because I wanted to ask her a few other questions. I want to transition back to the beach game. So we'll be back in just a moment. Hey, welcome back to the Viral Volley Podcast, here with Deahna Kraft of University of Wisconsin, formerly Pepperdine Waves. We've had a long discussion about this beach player all of a sudden showing up in the NCAA Division I Women's Volleyball Championship indoors. So great for Deahna and the Wisconsin Badgers. But I wanted to ask her, what her plans are after this final season of her collegiate prep career.
Well, I actually have another year of eligibility because of the COVID year. So, I mean, who knows? I could come back here. If not, I'm thinking maybe professional indoor for a year, maybe professional beach volleyball, maybe try a coaching career. I really don't know. I'm at loss of direction right now. I'm kind of just, I want to get through this tournament, and then I want to take 2 weeks off where I can just relax and hang out with my friends. And, like, I just feel like these past 9 months have been such a mental grind. I just want to have time, to myself and do things for myself. And then I'm going to make a decision. And so I'm going to leave you on a little bit of a cliffhanger. You'll have to stay tuned for that. But I do have another year of eligibility, so who knows? You'll see me again on the college.
So, indoor coaches, beach coaches. You want
Yeah.
no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That sounds. Hey, you got to enjoy the moment, especially. That's one thing we've learned from this last year, haven't we?
Yeah, I am literally living in the moment. I'm just being where my feet are, and we'll see where life takes me. All my options are great options. So I'm fortunate that no matter what I do, I know it's going to be fun. And
Yeah.
so that's good.
Well, with it also being collegiate beach season, I've got to ask if you've been tracking your former Wave team and some of the athletes have been playing, because it's been a pretty phenomenal season so far. I know Pepperdine's record doesn't exactly show it, but I mean they're really good. So, what are your thoughts on the Pepperdine team and what's going on in collegiate beach?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in touch with a lot of the girls, and I'm close to them. Like, I'm really close to Carly Scott, and obviously I keep in touch with Brooke a lot as well, and the seniors. I chat sometimes. I call up Marcio and say hi real quick. He's I'll call him up and say, hey, like, how are you doing? He's like, stop bothering me. I mean, I keep in touch with the squad, and they're doing good and representing Pepperdine and battling it out. And yeah, I mean, their record I don't think necessarily gives them credit for how athletic and talented they are. And I think they also have a really big balance of older people, like generation of Pepperdine Waves, and we have our newbies coming in. So I mean, I'm excited for them for the rest of this season, and I have been following along. I watch, sometimes they have live streams, and I'll follow along and text the girls good luck and stuff. So I mean, I always got my eye on my alma mater. So.
And you're training secretly on the beach somewhere there in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, I got my snow boots on.
Snow volleyball, it's coming up in FIVB. Come on.
I know. I want to try that. So if anyone on a snow volleyball team is hearing this, Deahna Kraft wants to try, hit her up. I want to try. That's one thing I want to try. It looks fun to me. And I mean,
I'm sure you'll dominate.
Yeah.
Well, that completes all the formal questions I had for you, but I know that you had a particular message you wanted to communicate, especially from being an indoor to beach, back to indoor, and could be back to beach, could be another indoor, because you're still determining that. But what message would you have for any aspiring younger athletes who are kind of in between, who want to do both, who want to go back and forth between both? Just would love to hear advice from, just a phenomenal athlete and a great representative of both games, the indoor and the beach.
I would say that, like, it can be done, because I definitely think there hasn't been a lot of girls that went from beach to indoor. And I mean, you see a lot of indoor girls go to beach, and I just say, like, do what you're passionate about, and if you put in the work and you give it time, it will come. And I want people to know that you can do it at whatever level you aspire to do it at. So I really just want, other girls to consider it and try to play indoor, and I mean, stretch their game and see how indoor helps beach and how beach helps indoor. Cause like, I already am thinking, like, if I go back to the beach, like, I'm going to be better at this because of indoor. And then I think I'm good at indoor because I'm good at this particular thing at indoor because of beach, And so I just think it's so interesting. Like, there's such different games. Like, it's hard to describe it until you play on both of them, and they're so fun, but they do really help each other and intermingle in such interesting ways. So I want like all aspiring players to, like, really, like, keep in touch with both of them and don't think that you have to commit to one, because I mean, you can come back after 4 years and go play a new one, you know? And I think that's huge. Like a lot of people think like one is end game and they're never going to see it again. That's scary. But I just say like take the leap of faith and put in the work and have fun and do it if you're passionate about it.
Great advice from Deahna Kraft of University of Wisconsin, who will be playing in the NCAA women's volleyball tournament this Thursday at the CHI Health Center Convention Center. That's in Omaha, Nebraska on ESPN3 at 6 p.m. I can't remember if that is CST or PST, but look for your listings. They'll be on volleyballmag.com, and you can visit the University of Wisconsin website as well, because you know they're going to be firing up on their Badgers as they are going for that national championship. Deahna, it is always such a pleasure to talk to you and see you. Wish could be in person, and hopefully see you back on the beach, but maybe see you indoors somewhere too, because I follow all the games. So cannot thank you enough for your time, and I'll be following. And you know, I'm going to hold you to your promise. If that thing happens, I'm not going to jinx it. I'm just saying, if that thing happens.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. I'll tell you.
Hey y'all, thanks for listening to today's episode of the Viral Volley Podcast. Be sure to follow Rob at Rob on the Mic on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or at robonthemic.com. Check you next time.